Q&A. Hello, homeboys. Hello, homegirls. Hello, everybody. Hello, yo. It is your man Challa back on the channel. I thought I'd approach things a little bit differently this time. We're going back to the old school times when I used to do story times, when I used to not do face cams. So this video will be lacking a face cam. Instead, you'll be seeing this picture being painted in the background, and it is actually relevant because the image that I'm painting there is a part of today's sponsor.
Do you feel like something is missing from your life? Do you feel a certain kind of emptiness when spending time in your room? If that's you, I've got just the solution for you, buddy. The missing ingredient from your space is WISE. We here at Challa Labs specialize in creating light-emitting prints specifically designed to fill up every corner of your room. Your body will automatically absorb the WISE. The Challa print shop has now officially been opened. A wide selection of prints designed specifically to maximize the light content of your space. Go to the link in description to order yours today.
I am sponsoring myself, but for real though, if I don't make any money with that sponsorship, then shit, I'm gonna starve to death because I no longer am working a real job, as some of you might already know, but I have quit the real job that I joined 2 years ago. Enough of blabbering, enough of bullshit. Let's get into answering y'all questions, cause there were many. Alright, let's start out with something hot.
Will you remake the AST series just for fun in quarantine? Imagine the lols.
I would very much like to not imagine. Funnily enough, those videos are still keeping me alive. They are still generating a little bit of ad revenue for me every month. And it's funny because those videos are things that I made when I was like 14 years old. And they're still active. People are still watching them for some reason unknown to me. Some kids on YouTube are looking at the thumbnails and going like, damn, now that's what I want to watch. It's weird, but do I want to remake them? I actually did once on my second channel, which is my shitposting channel. And it's really funny because in the video on the second channel, the New School Astive movie, I look like I'm going through some very difficult phase in my life. My ears were stretched to like some ungodly size.
How do you draw a background in a comic that doesn't look empty and dead?
You're kind of answering your own question there. Don't make it empty, fill it up. I'm sure the backgrounds you draw are based on some kind of location in reality, so just look up pictures of a location similar to the one you're imagining and just take bits and pieces from the images when you have done your research on them. I imagine that the background plays a big role in the current scene in your comic, so just lay out the elements of the scene in a way that the viewer's eyes are guided through the piece in a natural way. So one thing leads to the next thing, generates eye movement.
Are you gay?
I would say I am about 10% gay.
Now that you've had experience in working on art professionally, is it different from what you expected it to be originally?
So I realized I never really talked about the job that I worked in depth. I never specified what kind of gaming company it was. I just said that I work on games and shit, right? It's partially true. I worked on games, but they were gambling games, slot games in particular. And some of you might go, wow, what the fuck? That's weird. Why would you do that? And I understand that there is some horror stories about gambling and it has a very strong stigma surrounding it. Yeah, the job didn't involve just me drawing every day. I had other responsibilities also, like coming up with new concepts and giving presentations occasionally about those new concepts and trying to sell ideas, stuff like that. It actually upped my people skills a little bit. It helped me get out of my antisocial bubble a little bit more. Not saying that it's gone, it definitely isn't, but it's weaker now. And as you guys have noticed, I speak more confidently these days on the channel. It was definitely good to have a real life experience like that. But now that it's over, I am very much glad that it's over, because I actually miss this kind of lifestyle where I don't have to wake up very early every day and get my ass over to the office, have everything I make belong to this random ass company. For a first job experience, for a first studio experience, it was something that came in very handy for me, for sure. And yeah, there is not really like a booming gaming industry here in Estonia or anything. It's one of the very limited choices for studio work I have here. But I mean, it is legit studio work though. Yeah, it is for gambling games, but the process of developing a game is similar to developing any other game. It's all a collaborative effort between a lot of people with different skills, and it all comes together as this product in the end that generates money, just like other video games. Before I got that job, I had done some reading on what it's like to work real studio jobs. Yeah, it was a cool experience. I don't miss it though.
Do you ever take photos for both background and character reference? Or just use what you find online? Or no reference? That would be truly mad.
For backgrounds, I look up everything online for the most part, but as far as poses for characters and clothing folds and stuff, I definitely have taken plenty of my own photo references. I'm getting better with drawing anatomy without any reference these days because I've been practicing it like crazy over the last 2 years. Same thing with clothes and their physics, but as far as actual clothes designs, for those I still look up references. And yeah, references are a very vital part of my workflow. I'm gonna put on the screen the reference board I have for this image that I'm drawing in the background. I think that might shed a light on what kind of stuff I looked at for a project like this.
If you could live anywhere in the world free of charge, where would it be?
Well, that's an interesting question. To be honest, I'm not somebody who's very keen on traveling. Probably because I haven't done a lot of traveling in my life. My parents never took me places as a kid. It's not a huge problem for me. Like, I like living here in Estonia. We are famous for Wi-Fi growing on trees. Places I want to visit one day are Brazil. I want to go to the famous Brazil carnivals, and so that I could actually go there when somebody says come to Brazil. I went to the UK once for a business trip when I was working this full-time job, and it was a pretty boring trip, to be honest. I didn't get to do much. I just had to be in this fucking convention center this whole time.
What do you normally do when you have literally 0% motivation/ideas to draw? Love your content, man. Keep it up.
It depends, because when I have no motivation to draw, but I do have ongoing projects, then I draw anyway, regardless of whether I have motivation or not. If it's a scenario where I don't have anything going on and I don't have any motivation to draw, then a good thing to do is to just not do anything. Just let your brain loose. Don't engage in any activities actively. See where your mind goes, if there's any interesting things that might inspire you to turn into visual imagery or something. I think it's scientifically proven, don't quote me on this, but I think it is proven that our minds are most creative when we are tired and we aren't actively trying to solve any problems or trying to use our brains for something specific. When we're just vibing in silence. I oftentimes get my ideas when I'm just laying in bed trying to sleep, but sleep doesn't come because my brain is just going 100 kilometers per hour. And sometimes I get art ideas. Sometimes I get ideas on what videos to do. Sometimes I get ideas for what goals to set for myself. Literally whatever. If you have like a piece going on, a painting or something, and you really don't want to work on it, you don't have any fucking motivation, and just try to force yourself to work on it for 5 minutes. Chances are, at the end of those 5 minutes, you will be in some kind of work state already, and you will be able to put in the work regardless of the motivation levels. That's what I try to do, because starting is actually, for the most part, the most difficult. When you have no motivation, it's just so hard to start working on your thing. So just start, use the 5-minute rule.
Yo, Challa 4, what's the best way to learn how to draw bodies from any angle? Also, What is your drawing routine to improve every day?
If you follow me on Instagram, you probably have seen some of the practice sketchbook stuff I post on my stories. Well, first, the vital thing is to familiarize yourself with some basic landmarks of the body that are always visible. I didn't do that. I bought the Proco Premium Anatomy course, while I should have taken the figure drawing course first, so that was my first mistake. I went into the advanced stuff without taking the basic stuff first. So it's important to understand how to break it down into simple shapes, and you must know how to draw those shapes in perspective. If you can build like these mannequins and stuff from basic shapes, then you can use the anatomy knowledge that you must also learn at some point. You can use that knowledge to turn those blocks and basic shapes into a body. That's the ideal way to do it. That's not how I always do it. A lot of it is actually intuitive, and I've taken bits and pieces of different anatomy knowledge from all kinds of sources over the internet. Pinterest has been my friend. I've been looking at a lot of anatomy boards and images and stuff, and I have one book. I have 2 books, Bridgman's Constructive Anatomy and Andrew Loomis's Figure Drawing for All It's Worth. The latter one is better for beginners. It's a really complicated subject, anatomy. There's a lot of information to take in, a lot of knickknacks you must know about where the bones are, how the muscles attach, where the fat is stored, all that kind of stuff. But it is what it is because human bodies are very complex. But yeah, as far as my daily routine, I don't really have one. I've tried to have a daily routine, but it always fails. Habit building is the most difficult fucking shit. I'm very inconsistent with my routines. A lot of it is just based on feelings when I feel like practicing. It's not the right way to approach it. It's better to have a system of some kind, but I think us artists, a lot of us are driven by feelings. Our personalities are more feeling-based than logic-based. The age-old saying, just practice a lot. It's probably tiring to hear it at this point because that's what everybody says and it's corny, but deliberate practice is key. You do practice sessions or like sketch in your sketchbook without the intent to create like an illustration or like some pretty image for Instagram or something, you know? Just do things for yourself with the intent to learn, to connect more dots in your brain. That will always happen when you do these practice sessions.
What's the hardest struggle you've had as an artist in general?
I think it's probably making a stable living. My options for making a stable living have been so far working for some company, some gambling company, and making a okay salary and being able to buy things when I need to, or developing my own business, my own work, but not having enough money to buy anything other than food, hoping I will make enough sales with the prints. Buy my prints! But I'm not too scared of it, you know? It's just the artist life. I signed up for this. But the struggle is a part of the journey, so it's like, doesn't stress me out like too hard.
Favorite type of light bulb? Mine is compact fluorescent.
Perhaps LED lights, maybe no. Actually, my favorite light is torchlight, raw fire, candle light. Hell yeah.
What's your opinion on All Lives Matter?
Okay, well, this is a bit of a different one. Usually I don't like to get political on the channel, but it has been brought to my attention that this isn't a political thing per se. It's about human rights and just general equality, right? And people don't think that it's equality if only Black Lives Matter, but those people don't understand that the point of the BLM movement is not to show that only Black male lives matter or that they matter more than other lives. And it's so hard for some people to wrap their head around that for some reason. It's like baffling, to be honest.
What are some things that you think you still need to improve on? What are some things you used to struggle with a lot but are good at now?
What are some things that I need to improve on? I think that is mainly for me is stylization and being okay with the stylization choices that I make because I've learned to draw by learning realism first kinda and then applying stylization on top of the realism. It's still a bit hard to do the stylization on subjects that I've not drawn a lot before. To most people, stylization choices are your art style. I think I haven't found my style yet is what I want to say. I've found my methods of working and I found my tools, I found my theories, underlying theories, but now to make it all come together as a cohesive, deliberately stylized piece where everything goes the way I want it to. Nothing is a result of like some kind of happy accident that happens in the process. But as for specific things, perhaps like materials, I'm not happy with how my material rendering skills are. For example, in my last drawing your comments when I had to draw like a cat made of slime, but I was not able to get it to look like slime. It didn't look bad per se, it didn't look bad, it actually looked good, but it did not look like slime. So that's what I mean. I want to be able to be in control more of this kind of things. I mean, stylization is essentially control. It's knowing the subject enough to be able to manipulate it according to your will, right? That's what stylization is. As far as things I used to struggle with but am better at now, I would say definitely lighting is the main thing. Lighting is the easiest, most logical thing for me now. It's mostly when I do toasting your art videos, those art critiques, I usually end up critiquing people's lighting choices and techniques. I don't know, lighting is very important. It determines the mood of your piece. It determines what kind of emotions people will feel when they look at it, regardless of what actually is on the piece, what kind of scene it is. And the second thing, probably I would say anatomy. When I look at my anatomy drawings from a couple years back, it's like fucking awful. A lot of hairy lines, a lot of indecisive lines. Anatomy is something that's very theory-based, something you need to just put in the time to read up about and draw those things.
If you had $10,000, but only an hour to spend it, what would you buy? Alternatively, if you had 30 seconds of the entire world's attention, what would you say?
Alright, $10,000. That's pretty easy. I would probably just buy a shit ton of upgrades for my setup, my PC setup. I don't know much about PC building, so I probably would buy some epic pre-built PC that is overpriced, and then I would buy a new desk and a new Cintiq and a lot of upgrades to all my hardware. And that would be an easy way to spend $10,000. If I had the whole world's attention, I would say sub to Challa, buy my prints.
Look at this boring room. This room could use some vibes. Yes, Challa, come la Ford vibes. Right, Challa, coming Ford vibes, or I will find out where you live.
Where do you want to be professionally in the future? What is your end goal? Are there any other avenues you want to explore more creatively, music, games, etc.?
Probably my end goal is to be able to live off of creative work on my own terms, so I don't have to be a slave to one company. I mean, I would like to collaborate with some companies whose work I enjoy, like perhaps some movies which I enjoy the storyline of or something, but otherwise I don't want to do random shit like gambling games anymore. No, fuck that. In general, projects that I don't believe in. Any other avenues? If I like doing music stuff, I want to do more music with lyrics. I've done a couple rap songs as memes, but I actually enjoy writing those. That's just something I consider a hobby.
Would you be interested in also working professionally with music?
Fun fact, when I was 15, I thought I would be doing music professionally in the future, not art. I already did music production back then at the age of 15, and I wasn't as good as art back then, so I thought music was gonna be the thing I was gonna do for a living. But the thing is, I produce electronic music, right? And the way they usually make their living is by performing, and I do not like performing. There are ways to make a living without having to perform, to sell your for stuff, but you need to be very established for that. You need to have a very loyal fan base, or you can do other stuff like make courses or whatever. There's a lot of options actually. But yeah, my music doesn't have a lot of a following. I have like 300 followers on SoundCloud. Most of them aren't active, just as on YouTube. I do want to move forward with music stuff in the future though. It was kind of on hold for a while. I have figured out my musical style more these days than I didn't know what I wanted to do with music under the Synthetic Creature name back in the day. I use a different name now. My producer alias is Raxo.S, which is also my graffiti name, so it's a double name. I'll try and get my stuff on Spotify at some point.
Do you have a favorite genre of music, or do you just listen to whatever? If so, who are your favorite artists from the genre?
I like a wide variety of genres. For the most part, I like music that you can throw in the background, but if you do want to pay attention to it, it's really good. But if you don't, it's also good background music. So for the most part, music without lyrics. But I do like some songs that do have lyrics also for more active, engaged listening. If you guys are interested in what I like, I have a playlist. As a matter of fact, I have multiple playlists. I have a ton of them on my Spotify.
Do you think you'll be drawing for the rest of your life? Even when you're too crippled to pick up a pencil?
Yes, I am confident that I will be drawing for the rest of my life. Am I gonna do it professionally for the rest of my life? Not 100% sure about that, but I'll stay in the arts, I know that for sure. But will I be doing illustrations for my whole life? I don't know, maybe I'll be doing cinematography, maybe I'll find my passion in doing 3D modeling or something. Maybe I will do music professionally, who knows? I will stay in the arts, but will it be always drawing? I'm not sure.
When did you start developing your style?
I think what this person is actually referring to is the subject matter I've chosen to draw. That's what makes my recent work recognizable. It's this one skeleton character in a lot of abandoned graffiti-filled environments, right? I'm gonna interpret this question as, why did you go with those things specifically? When you read up about how to find success as an artist in the modern day, a lot of people suggest to you to draw things that are familiar to people. And oftentimes that is fan art, familiar characters for people. I'm not somebody who consumes a lot of media for entertainment. I watch a lot of movies or TV shows. Used to watch anime when I was younger. So as far as familiar things for people go, I think everybody in the world has seen graffiti at some point in their life. It's a love it or hate it thing. There is no in between. I think you're like, okay, I think it's pretty cool, or I like graffiti, but the tags, those are awful. It's like scribbles by children on my wall. You know what I mean? Okay, I get it. Tags aren't very aesthetically pleasing for a lot of people. I personally like tags. But yeah, it's like skulls, another thing everybody knows. Skulls are an icon of edginess. I like edgy things, and I like graffiti. I like abandoned places, some chill spots that are void of human activity for years. And I think these are relatable things for people, right? Everybody knows what the fucking skull is. Everybody knows what graffiti is. So it reaches a wide audience, and it's some cool edgy things that I can express myself with. So if you want to develop like an aesthetic or something, ask yourself, what do you like? As far as actual style that you execute the piece in, that's a different thing.
How do you make a 3D base? What app do you use?
I use Blender. It's totally free to download, free to use. There's a lot of learning materials out there on YouTube, which is great. It's pretty easy to pick up. I did it in like a month or something. It's very useful to know some basic 3D.
What are your tips to a new art account? I've been having some problem growing my account and I want to know your take on it.
Hey. Usually I wouldn't go out giving advice to newer artists that are starting new accounts, but this account, this Instagram account of mine, it has been losing followers like crazy over the period when I was inactive. Luckily I'm gaining some of it back now. I guess I could share some tips on what I've done and what has helped me get my follower count back up a little bit. One thing I heard that stuck with me was that if people do discover your page, against all odds, you want to be able to keep them on your page for as long as possible. And how do you do that? You use the feature on Instagram that lets you post multiple images under one post. For example, what I've done is slide 1 is the overview, slide 2 is a close-up, slide 3 is the second part of the close-up. It's like a swipeable thing. Part 4 is like a sketch watch line art version or something. Part 5 is a process video, and you can think of more things to add to your post, but the goal is to keep people on your page for longer so that they retain you in their memory better. This question also ties in with the relatability thing I was talking about earlier. I want to draw relatable things for people. So for you, it's probably fan art because I looked at your account. Just keep at it. It's not going to happen overnight. Use hashtags. And when you do use them hashtags, use some popular hashtags that have like millions of posts on them. Use some unpopular ones that have a couple thousand or like 10,000 to 50,000 or something. I've gained a couple like 50 to 100 followers through hashtags on the Challa art account already. I mean, people might be hesitant to follow you if they see you have no followers or something, but that's totally dependent on the person, I guess. Anyway.
You still do commissions?
Not currently, not right now, but I might if my print sales are too low and I won't be able to pay rent next month. Then I'll probably have to do commissions. So we'll see how it goes.
What's your favorite hentai? Have you thought about making money of drawing nude? Like, you know, becoming a hentai artist? What is the meaning of life? Why are we still here just to suffer?
Well, this question took a different turn. Not gonna lie, I've done that kind of stuff, and I've done more of it recently undercover, but I haven't made any money off of it. Maybe I will in the future though, if all goes well.
Which artists do you like the most on YouTube and or Instagram?
Well, this is a common question. A lot of people wanted to know who my inspirations are and which other artists I look up to. There's millions of them. I know a lot of artists who have like superior fucking technical skill, but I don't remember their names. These are people who usually work in the games and movies industries, but people who do their own thing, I will list some of them, some of my favorites on the screen. Some people who also inspire me to do my own thing.
What's your favorite video of yours? Are you a fan of snakes?
I'm not an anti-snake person. Yeah, snakes are cool. My favorite video though, I asked myself, what's my favorite video? And I realized, holy shit, I don't know what my favorite video is. A good candidate for a favorite is the old, even worse art applications video that had the iconic character lesbian Skrillex as named by my community, and that video boosted my channel to popularity back in the day. It was what got my meme art channel going, but it's not actually my favorite video. I just like the intro. I think my favorite is season 2 episode 1 of Toasting Your Art, the most recent Toasting Your Art as of recording this video. I like the intro I did there. It has the most useful information and it's not try-hard funny.
Will you do more random generator stuff?
Perhaps. I mean, drawing your comments is one thing, but will I return to those generators that I used to do? Maybe. If there's some good ones, send me some good prompt generators.
Do you ever regret that you started your channel kind of silly, now that you are a bit more serious artist?
Do I regret it? Not really. Just reflects the type of content I consumed back then. I used to watch a lot more meme, XD, lol videos, and I thought, wow, there are no people who are artists, but also do humor on the channel or like meme stuff, so that's what I thought I'd do. But I don't watch that type of shit that much anymore. Basically, I'm more serious about it, and I have gotten older. It shows. This channel is so fucking old, and I have changed so much as a person through those years. So, you know what the funny thing is? Initial idea back in 2015 was, I used to watch Leafy Is Here when his channel just started booming, when he made drug videos with CSGO gameplay in the background. I thought I'd make stories and weird short videos like that where I talk about random topics, just like Leafy, but instead of having CSGO gameplay in the background, I'd have art time lapses. So essentially I'd show that, hey, my channel is better quality. I can actually do something other than playing video games, but I'm still an epic meme guy who makes stuff. So back in the day when people used to call me an art version of Leafy, they weren't wrong. Holy shit, man, it's been a wild ride, this channel, man. Damn, okay, anyway, that's it, man. Buy my prints, and I don't know what else to do. I'll just keep going at it, keep pushing, try to survive on my own without a job developing gambling games anymore. And I mean, that's about it. That's it, man. I don't have a lot more to say. I hope you guys stay well. I miss doing videos without face cams. It's cool. Cool. Very nice. Goodbye, guys.
Buy my prints.